All right. Start recording. So we had the sphere here. We were moving it. So just going to do it quickly. Select the key. Going to my frame 120. Moving it there. Again, key to select it. Going back to frame 1. Doing the reduction to 0. And then frame it there. And again.
It's going again.
I'm doing something wrong. Okay, now I know how to bring it back. Okay. You know what? I'm just going to do something else. I'm going to this frame, making it 95.
That should work.
That should work. It's not keying that. So we'll try. No, it didn't work, but it should. If I successfully change the poly reduction, so I can do it from here. So I'll just reduce it to 0 and key that. There you go. And then I go to the last one and make it 95, and I key that again. Yeah, there we go. All right, so now you can see as this thing is moving, it will reduce the number of polys in the geometry. So you can basically animate anything in Maya. All right, so I talked about always going to the frame first, and then you can animate everything basically, and then when you press S, it will just record all the properties in that keyframe, and that's this. So the next thing I'm going to show is, Branko, have you showed the boxes following a path in the class? No? Okay. I'm going to show you guys how to make things following paths. So for example, let's say we have this box and it has some subdivisions in it, and then we also have this curve that is going like that, and then we want to make this follow that. So if I'm under animation there and I have this thing selected, I can go to constraint and motion paths, and I can attach my box to the path. So always click on this box to see what are the properties of the thing you are selected. So select your object, shift select your path. So the first thing you pick is your object, the second thing is the path, and then you would attach this to that. And then when you play, you will see that this thing is following that path through the animation. The problem is it's just following, it's not curving with it. So we can also do that. So going back to my frame 1, I will select this, go to constraints. There was another option saying follow the path object. So I will select that and shift select the path, and I say follow, and it should now follow the geometry. You can see it is curving and it is following the curve. There was one more option there that you could play with was, so if I undo and go into the first slide, so again, there was one more option that you could do. So going back to the motion path and picking this follow the path thing, you can decide if the lattice that it is creating is around your object or around your curve. So for this example, I want to create it along the curves, and what it does is it just creates a box around this curve that my box will go through, and I will give it some more subdivisions just to see how it will work. It's not enough. I'll give it more subdivisions. So just going back to the attributes there, motion path. No, just going back there. I will just change it from there, make it out 20, 20, 20, and then apply. Okay, I'll undo and do it again. Okay, so these two are selected. I want it to go along the curve, and it's on a 20-20-20. It's still doing that.
I think F5 is the first parameter.
Oh, maybe that's, yeah, right. Maybe I'll change these two, yeah. And it doesn't need to be localized. Okay, there we go. Now when I play, I can hide this. Now when I play, it will do the same thing, and based on the resolution I've created for that lattice, it will follow that line. What is the cool thing I can do? Do you guys know about what is snapshots? How to make snapshots? No? So when you have an animation, you can decide that you can create a geometry at any given frame. So it is called snapshots. You can create snapshots of your geometry. So if I select my object and go to visualize, I can create animation snapshots. So by clicking there, you can see that when is the start time, when is the end time, and what is the increments of the snapshots I'm creating. I'm just making that to 20 and making that to 120, and then I'll do the snapshots. You can see it has now created geometries that are relevant to the animation I'm creating in different given moments of time. So I will just show you an example that I have here. Okay, I'm going to hide these. So you can see those boxes that there are 3 boxes. They are moving and following. And at the same time, I've created those snapshots out of them. So just imagine how you could manipulate a mesh using this technique. Questions? No? All right. So another thing that worth mentioning is that the movement of the objects are controlled through a graph system in Maya. So when you have an animated object selected, you can go to Windows and then under General Editors, you can get your animation editors, you can get your graph editor, and then it will open up a new window for you, hopefully. Just not very friendly today with me. Okay, I'll just show the sphere example again. Okay, so keyframe that, and then move it there to do that, and keyframe it again, and then going to Window, Animation Editor, and Graph Editor. What's wrong. Anyways, it should open a graph that you can control how this curvature changes your geometry. I have no idea why it's not opening that. Doesn't really matter. Okay. A different thing. So just think about the projects you're working with. So let's say your project is a simple box, and let's assume this time it's going to be friendlier with me, and you have your object selected. It's very weird. Nothing is working properly. Maybe it's Alex's computer. Seriously, it's in object mode, and it's just like the whole thing. Oh, it's a NURB cube, that's why. All right, just not Alex's computer. I'll just make a box again and give it some subdivisions. Let's make it a 20 by 20 by 20. Maybe that's okay. It's a bit heavy, but I'll make it a 10 by 10 by 10. All right. Then I will give it a non-linear deformer, like a bend, and I will give it a number there. Let's say 65. The bend is doing that. Okay. So that's the bend. So I can also animate my bend. So I will put it to 0 and key that. and then go to my 1200 and make it that and key it again. I could also go back to my frame 1 and move this thing. So keying all of them and then moving that around to, if I go there and moving that around in S, you can see that this is changing and moving, and I can also do a rotation on it. So going to frame 1, rotating that a little bit, and S, and then going to last frame, rotating it differently, and like that. And now I can see how my animation is changing my geometry, basically. And then at any moment that I'm interested in the form it is creating, I can just pause my animation. I can say, let's say that is an interesting effect. I can just pause it there, select my geometry, Control D, do a duplicate, and move it aside. So I have that result. And then I go further down. So I like that one too. And I just copy it aside. So it's a different way of manipulating your geometry. And maybe when you guys were creating your grids, this could have been an interesting way of generating all the different results. The other thing that you can do is if you have your object, and if you want to create a snapshot of all the moves that it's doing, you can make your object move from here to undo. Okay, so I will delete the history so that everything is set in my model. Delete by type, delete the history so that the animation is not there. Okay, that. And then I'll make the, select my object, go to my animation here. Under visualize, I can again do my snapshot. So any 20 seconds, and I'll create the snapshots. You can see here you are getting all these different geometries that are produced from your math. You can also move your geometry through a path so that these are not on top of each other. They're actually laid out nicely. I'll show you an example here that I've done an animated lattice solution. So there, I have just made this lattice thing, and I have animated through my surface, and I'm getting all these different results. I can play this for you. And basically anything that you're changing, even the changes in the lattice, are animated. So you can see that the lattice is changing through the animation, and the object is moving, and the results are produced out of that. Okay, one more example here, and then we're gonna move to some more interesting tools. Non-linear deformer, don't save, continue. So that's again kind of similar to what I showed. A box moving around a few different deformers. Oops, just cracked. How are you guys doing? Okay, stop again.